Hey there ladies and gents, so playing a new game here. It's called Rodina. It's a explore space kind of mission orientated game. As you can see there, got a lovely backdrop of the galaxy, Milky Way galaxy, and it's actually moving for one thing. It's not all still frame. The planets seem to rotate, and they actually rotate around the sun rather than a fixed set of planets and a light source rotating around the planets, which is essentially easier on graphics, I guess. But in this case, it's the other way around, like a proper solar system. So this is your ship, the Rodina. Some call it the Turd, as I've heard, but it's a nice brown ship. Don't let the simplicity of the graphics fool you. Again, it's focused more on gameplay, the terrain, exploring space itself, which is a really good bonus. It's still in development, and it's so far so good, but obviously it's going to be changing, going to have little tweaks and improvements, maybe even get a texture on the ship, but for now, again, it's a development, so we're going into the arse end of the ship. Just press F to open up the doors, G to turn your light off. This layout of the ship itself is something that I've designed. This is one of the things that I do like about this game. I'll get to the noises in a second, but if we go to the rear of the ship here, this console, which sadly you can't really move it, it is convenient being at the back, but I would like to maybe move it or have a secondary one at the main cockpit itself. But if we press F for the functions, we get this little layout here. It's got the buttons where you can open the airlock inside the ship, close all airlocks, and open the airlock outside the ship. Little useful functions, but most of the time you walk up to it and press F. Currently it's a single player game, it's not multiplayer, so you generally won't have other people coming in and out of ship, and you won't need to do that. This button here, modify ship layout, is one of the things that I do like about this game. In most space games you'll get your ship, here it is, that's what it does, you can improve stuff, but hey, that's it. This one, modify ship layout, does exactly what it says on the tin. It's very basic, it's a bit blocky, but the functionality of it is that you can build your own ship. Currently you'll see up the front here, I've been remodeling, so I ripped everything out, well, nearly everything. I'm not sure if the ship still functions without its engine, essentially, that's like its engine. But I've left it in there just to make sure. So as you can see, the front of it's black because I've not been putting any lights there, and I've ripped out a load of stuff, and I've just been tweaking around and building pretty much from the back of the ship forward. So as you can see, that's the cargo where I'm standing in right now. I'm just by this console on the right. Hopefully you can see the mouse. And again, this is just a little area that I've designed. Generally these parts around here don't have function, but again, it's about appearance. Because again, you can customize the layout of your ship. So we've got some generators, we've got a battery, currently no function, however in the future for development he says that he may bring these into play, given you know, you build them, you have more power or auxiliary if you run out of fuel, such and such. Again, got a little random room there, just doing that. Going on to it, keeping I guess to the nature of the game, we got some bathrooms. We don't need bathrooms, we don't have that function, there's no necessity for it, we don't have multiplayer, they don't need to be cleaned, but hey, I've kind of kept that in the sense that there are going to be people on board and they will want somewhere to stay. Adding, you know, filling out the entire ship with blocks completely, it doesn't affect the handling, it doesn't affect anything else, it's purely for aesthetics, for a bit of additional fun. And when I first got this game, I actually spent up to 2 hours initially just going through this, trying to figure out how it works. And then I realised, oh, I haven't actually spent any time flying at all. So it was quite nice to have that, getting sort of lost into building and the layout of the ship. Some frustration when it came to putting certain blocks in places, but with a bit of, you know, playing around, I kind of figured things out. So just to state here, on the left hand side we've got the male toilets, on the right hand side we've got the female toilets, identified by individual shower cubicles, as often in most establishments female showers generally are segregated rather than males being en masse. I do have a military background, so that's how generally things are. The rooms themselves, just customize them to make them sort of symmetrical, I guess, in design, but giving each one its own unique sort of character near enough. The bed positions are pretty much the same as the cupboards and such, but you know, you got additional chairs, lockers, you got some plants, a few more plants in this one. This room's got a rug. Again, it's just giving the ship a sense of living in, rather than just being a thing that you can do on the actual ship itself. So I'll move up front. This is actually the main cockpit itself. It doesn't come central on the ship when you first get it. That drove me nuts straight away, so I had to move the entire section to the one side to do that. So I'll go up the front here and just sort of show you some of the parts. So on the left hand side we've got entities, tiles, decorations, and then these arrows with slots that indicate where you want the wall or the tile in this case to build, and open, clear, and open doors. These give for example, doors. You know, if you've got a solid wall, you want to put a door there, you just click on the door and put it in any part you want. So here, obviously we've got a door. It does kind of have an automatic build feature where if you build a long wall, let's say, in the middle, there will be automatically put a door, but you can just change that, simple little things. So entities. Entities refer to objects. So pressurized tank, let's have one of those. We just click on pressurized tank, click it, and there it is. If you want to move it around, simple as it says on the tin, move. You have a move function and you sort of move it to where you want. It is a bit buggy sometimes. I will have to click off to the left, off to the right to get it to click, but I think that's because of this, the way the camera system works. I mean, there it does work, but after a little while it starts to break down a bit. Hold right click to move the entire mass, and then left click to obviously identify the object or the thing that I want to do. So yep, there we got pressurized tanks. Let's have some archives, so we just click there. Actually, an archive is a big thing, and I've actually not clicked on that before, so I might use one of those. It does actually serve a purpose as well. Archives, as you go around the game, you'll pick up notes, information, encryption keys, stuff like that, and it does actually give a bit more life to the game rather than just being you floating around an empty space. There are debris, there's things you can discover and collect. In this case, the archive is used to access that information, and when you get the right encryption key, you can decrypt it on the radio system. So some of the parts do have function, but as you can see there, we've got a great big unit. If I want to rotate it, I just click rotate and click somewhere around. As you can see, it does snap a little bit, but it does then lock onto what you want. If you notice there, the point of turning is not the center of the object, it's just off to the left in this case, or the right in that case. But as you can see, you can just simply do that, move it around, put it wherever you want. These you can fit at any angle you like. You can even put it halfway out the ship. You can even put it completely out the ship. I don't know if you'll be flying around with this great big unit sticking outside. I might test that, but that's just a simple thing. You've got quite a few objects to choose from. You can scroll off into infinity, so if I keep scrolling down, now I'm scrolling up, and there we go, I can keep going up. It's kind of a not quite refined list system, but it's still in development, and again you can add a lot more stuff onto that. Things, example, let's say a hollow screen. That's quite a useful one. So these black walls here are hollow screens. These are by the hollow tiles, so the big version of it. If I want to add in just a hollow screen itself, is this tiny little block, and again I can move it around, position it anywhere I want, and rotate it to wherever position I need. And with these hollow screen blocks, it allows you to see out the ship, completely transparent. Doesn't matter what's in front of you, you can see through it, and you know, nothing will get in your way. As you can see on the main deck here, I've done that for the pilot, so when the pilot is here, you can see all the way in front of him, but when he looks back, if that's the case, when you look back, you won't be looking at this great big console, which is very tall. And of course, for this console, when you look forward, you're not obscured by the seat or the console of the pilot. It allows you to see completely through the object in front of you. Again, if I want to delete that, I'll just delete it. So you sort of place these blocks around and you build what you want. So let's get rid of these as well. Let's delete that and delete that. I'll go on to the more awkward things to learn, which is the tiles and blocks. So Tiles that come in these set: bridge, living area, bathroom, engineering, corridor, and hollow screen. Hollow screen block, like I said before, is these great big blocks here. Corridor blocks are blue. They make a corridor, to put it simply, and they'll mark the wall as a different colour and this sort of curved shape. You don't have to have corridor blocks in the corridor, you can have whatever block you want. It just kind of makes things predefined, you know, as it should be on a ship. You should know that where you are in engineering, you should know if you're in living space, you should know if you're in a corridor, and maybe kind of use those blocks to emphasize that. So let's go for, I guess, engineering. Have I already got engineering? The ground, as you see in front of you, this white grid square. Let's have a look at open. Yep, so these are engineering now, and that's the floor. I've just left it blank. So placing these blocks, they can be a bit tedious, as I've found out. If you place let's say this block here, which will give me from the center space a wall on the left hand side of that. So let's click that. From the center we now have a wall on the left. We can click quite a few times, space them quite close, but when you go down to the ship itself, this corridor will actually be quite narrow. Let's see if I can make it happen. If I was to put a block there we are. So as you can see, the entire wall has now moved. It's essentially destroyed what I just tried to do. But that's where, let's say, corner blocks come into it. They will fill that gap and put back what you want. So how it works, let's clear all these. Click on open, click on the square again, and you'll open it away. So hopefully you can see on the left hand side there we have the grid square system, where it's diagonals, straights and vertical lines. The center block obviously represents the block that you want to click the space occupied to build that wall. If you, as I've shown you before, choose the wrong blocks, because you're trying to occupy the same square with two different shapes, one will wipe out the other, one will stack and it will remove it. You know, like I said, they're not able to be stacked. So you do have to think about what you're putting in and just kind of work. Oh bugger, great feature is an undo button, so I was meant to do this. So going back to the toilet area, believe it or not, this was actually quite hard to do. Initially I didn't realise about the corner blocks. I thought that they were diagonal blocks, not corner blocks, square corners. So I tried to place them individually with the straight edge blocks, and of course I had to figure out the pattern of wiping things out, which left at the back here odd squares. After I figured out the corner block, as you see I can smash them all around, it made things a lot more simpler. Undo, undo, undo. I like that feature a lot. So like I said, that's just one thing to keep in mind when you're building it, is the square cannot be occupied by two different shapes. Simple as that. I can build a wall if I want out of those blocks, so if I think about it, there we are, and that one on the outside and one at the top. So what I'm doing is actually occupying the blocks outside the square, resulting in the wall in the middle. Bit of messing about and you'll figure it out, but again it becomes intuitive once you start to use it, and it's a pretty good feature. As for the long edge diagonals, they allow you to place long diagonal walls. Think about these ones again, they occupy the space underneath it. So for example here in the corridor, as you can see, I have square blocks outside of it that I can do nothing about. I can't place triangle blocks and make this all blue and equal. It just doesn't do that. I've kept these ones on the outside because it blends into these corners, which helps a little bit for, again, aesthetics. But really, if I want to be exact, I'd have to make this one here a square corner, and it would occupy the space and fill it with a blue or a white square. As for the diagonal ones, they slice it in half and you're left with a triangle corner, and that's just the way it is. Again, it's early days, and the overall thing is kept very, very simple. So let's go and open out a square. Clear squares. So clearing will clear out into oblivion. It does automatically pull up a wall, and of course that part of the space is not occupiable because it's just open out into space, and it doesn't actually leave a hole in your ship on the outside. You'll only see this space when you are in this state, and again when you're walking around that will be just a solid wall, and if ever it gets destroyed I'd imagine you get sucked out into space. Again, a feature not in this game just yet. What you see now is the maximum size that you can get out of this ship. One that you get originally, some of the corners are cut, something's a little bit slimmer, wider, because that's the layout that you get, but once you clear it all you realise it's quite a big shape. I seem to focus on this quite a lot because again it can be actually quite a feature of the game. It is a feature, and you do get stuck into doing it and just making things look livable and sort of more realistic. So if I make sure I haven't left any junk behind or any damage, nope, looks good. Okay, click done. So we go back to the normal main console. From here then, if you don't want to walk all the way through your ship to your cockpit, you know, don't want to be realistic in that sense, you can actually remote control the ship from here. So if I was to click that, I now have control of the ship as if I was in the cockpit itself. Pressing spacebar will give you thrusters and it will allow you to lift off the ground, but there's more than just the one type of thruster. Obviously, as you can see, it's quite slow, but it's meant for refined controls and manoeuvring. If I wanted to speed that up, I'd hit hold, right click to get the green stuff coming out the back, and then press up, and that will give me slightly more thrusters. In space you'd use this for combating, so when you're fighting you'd have this speed more or less because it's quick but not too quick, not too slow. And again, if I was to do that one more time, in atmosphere that is, one more time, right click, holding it down, pressing up, I get cruising speed, which as you can see is a lot faster and allows me to get around the planet a bit more, well, easier, takes a bit less time. If I'm coming into landing, let's say over there, I'd right click, down speed again. As you can see, it automatically drops you down to that speed, but right now, as you can see, it's taking a while to get there, so right click up, press forward, bring myself in, right click down, and spacebar, just dodged it. Yeah, so that's how you sort of fly about. If I was to leave the ship itself, as you can see, it's dropping out of the sky. You need to engage thrusters and other controls to make sure your ship stays in place. So here we are on the planet. It's on the dark side at the minute. It takes about 20 minutes per rotation, seems like that. Just right click up again, cruising speed, and then blast off into space itself. When we're in space, we actually get an additional speed, which is like the hyperdrive. It is a bit crazy to go through and witness, but it is fast, of course. For now, I believe it's got an infinite range, but in updates there may be fuel involved, and you may only get so far before it runs out, of course. On the planet right now, I'm looking for crosshairs. Crosshairs indicate sites, crash sites, and bits and pieces I can pick up, but just things really. Pick up things, and I'm going to go back on myself because what I'm going to do is actually show inside the ship. Why not? Bring myself down, bring the speed down again. A nice flat area just over there. It's relatively easy to control. Sometimes it does spaz out just a little bit, but it's a good ship. One thing I do have trouble with is depth. Bring it down again. Now I've got my little thrusters. As you can see, as I come towards the ground, yeah, that sort of happens. Your sight or your view isn't at a very good angle. I'd like to change it. You can do, you can press Alt, hold down Alt, and move the mouse around like so, but as soon as you release Alt, it snaps back, which is kind of a pain in the butt sometimes, because I'd rather have it more this position, or actually the ship itself, in a higher central position on the screen, but that's just the way it is. So press F to come out and cancel cockpit mode. There's a wall. This is an example of the hollow screen square. This is obviously a solid wall, but it allows me to see right outside, unobscured. I've got this because, let's say if you're coming out the exit here, you want to see if there's anybody out there that shouldn't be. So again, it just gives that advantage or functionality. Fire extinguishers, they do serve a purpose. You do have fires on board. Once I take that one off the wall, I have to replenish it. That's why I've actually put quite a few about the place. So let's get to all that noise. So all that noise is caused by these little robots. They're a recent update. Press F to try and grab him, so get his attention. Who have I got? Ah, this is one. This is Ladies Loo Lurker. This one seems to have a habit of lurking in the ladies' toilets. I don't know why, but it just does. And you can rename each one of these. You'll find them when you go out exploring. They'll just be in a crate, and you'll go through a gestation period, which takes about, I think, about a minute really. And you'll have that time to return, I guess, to your ship to then release it and essentially give birth to these little robots. The numbers are starting to add up, so I might actually not collect any more. As you can see, I've got another one lurking in the toilets. Some I've named, some haven't, so that's just the way it is. This is the corridor itself with the hollow screens. As you can see, like I say, it allows you to see right through the ship, right out to the front, as if you're the pilot itself. Again, it's just a nice thing to have if you're out and about on the ship. This is one of the unfinished rooms, yep. So again, I've just got windows, but they're hollow screens, and little spare rooms about the place. There's Soul Eater. They're just nice little things to have around the place, and I forgot to press F. Going on to the main cockpit then. Mouse is a little bit sketchy, but you can't really change that. So like I said, this is the main cockpit, hollow screen squares everywhere to give me a nice clean view, and it looks kind of cool. If we go up to the pilot wave radio, press F. Currently I've got encrypted communications, but I'm not able to decrypt them because I haven't found the key, and that's why I'm searching on the planet. And operations computer, that one just gives you access to missiles. I've collected all these so far. I got 105, which is quite nice, but I think I've got this on sort of safe mode basically, so there's no enemies, but I can shoot some stuff. If I want to see on the ship's health or air pressure, which air pressure does matter, I can see that. And emergency open all doors, if I do that in space, everything, probably including me, will shoot out the back end pretty much. So that does actually serve as a function, but that also raises that there'll be one person here, one person here possibly. And this one is a scanner, which gives you a map of the solar system. Very basic, but it allows you to find where you need to go. And actually, saying that, the planets move. Yep, the planets definitely do move, because my little green dot was over to the right hand side before. This space is real. All these objects you can go to on the outer ring here is asteroids. The ones with question marks are planets that you can go to get upgrades for the ship, which helps in some cases get to other planets, because one of them's like an acid one, and you have to have an acid shielding, and the other one's hot, and it has to have heat proofing. So you go to each planet to get each goal, and then you can go to all these asteroids and explore each one. And don't let the circles sort of fool you to how close they are. They are actually quite far apart. As you can see, I can highlight each one. Zorica is the star itself, which is represented by that sort of CD looking thing, which you can see when you're flying. And again, various question marks cover each planet. The asteroids are small circles in the sky, but there's a problem with it that it doesn't give you distance. So if I'm over to this asteroid, let's see if I can even get it highlighted. Not in this case, but if I'm over at asteroid A and I want to go to asteroid B, B being ideally the next one, the closest one, I kind of can't tell which one's which. When I'm up in the sky, it's just a circle dot in the distance, and in a ring of a load of other circle dots, and you kind of have to just fly towards something, and if the objects, one ring moves past you, then you know you've actually passed an asteroid, so you should turn to that one. Essentially it's closer. You kind of sort of visually look where things are, but I guess that adds to the exploration of the game itself. And again, this is a cockpit. You're best off sitting in the seat, although you don't actually physically sit down. And again, a pilot seat, it's exactly the same as before. I'm in control of the ship. That's my keyboard. You do take damage if you fall very hard or if you re-enter too fast. And well, I guess I'll leave it at that because I also want to show the ship and I've done that. So let's close that. And so right click up, right click W again, and away we go. Just for the crack of it, I'll go straight up into space, which you can do. Again, you can just leave the planet, so holding down Alt allows you to look around, but the ship does slightly drift, I've found. Slight drift on it. Gaining altitude also allows you to see across the planet's surface. You can't scan the planet once you're there, which is again something that may come in an update, allowing you to find again the nearest object. The circle dots are where I've been before, so the one in the background there, already been to that. We're looking for plus signs, which there aren't any nearby, but I know there is one nearby. Actually, there it is. So as you can see there, we're just leaving the atmosphere. We've got that sort of blue haze around us, comet effect. If we go too fast, it will go up into a big fireball, unless I've disabled that, because currently I've kept it simple. Yeah, you can actually control how complex or how simple things are. Oh, there we are. That's a fireball, and that's me burning like hell. So the ship does slightly heal over time. And that is re-entry. Let's go up into space. Ship's got a little bit of drift to it sometimes. But as you can see, it self-repairs. The robots don't do nothing. They may do something in the future. As you can see, currently just blasting off into space and just exploring around again. Like I say, in the background there, you got circle dots to where the asteroids are, but the one on the right could be closer than the one on the left. You just can't tell at this distance. That's just the way it goes. I'll do hyperdrive if I'm able to, because currently I'm glowing blue, so I might actually be stuck in the atmosphere at the minute. No. But there you go, transitioning into space itself is very easy, and as you can see there, I've got a load of little crosses that I can explore and collect things. But gravity is taking effect. As you can see, the ship is turning around all by itself, and it will follow along to that. So gravity sources will pull on it. If you get too close to the star, I'd imagine you're going to get sucked in. So let's go right click and upshift again. So this is super hyperdrive, which I don't want to do too long. Let's see how far I've got. Okay, so quite far. In the background there, that is the planet. I kind of don't like the graphics for it, because it does just completely obscure the entire screen. So let's see if I can actually get back. So as you can see, the ship does do some crazy stuff when you do it, but it does get from A to B pretty damn quick. Let's try and get spin. Not a bad guess at all, actually. That's quite interesting. Okay, I've not seen that before. As you can see there, the back end of the planet doesn't exist. Ah, there we go. It's all coming. Again, I guess the way it generates the planets and objects, it does it slightly different for each one. But as you can see, I've got loads of places to explore on that planet right now, and that's just one of 4 planets, and there's hundreds of asteroids out there. Well, probably not hundreds, but it's going to feel like it after a good while. Some have said that they've ended up in another star system, so this may happen. I'm not sure at this point, but for now I'm in this one and just exploring the planets, exploring space itself. Let's bring my speed down. So that should bring me to a nice little stop. So I am at a stop now, but as you can see, the planet is still moving, like I say. The whole solar system itself moves, but because the graphics are basic at this point, it's not very CPU intensive or graphics intensive at this point, but we'll see what happens in the future. So essentially, if you run out of fuel but you're in line with the planet, it's a case of a waiting game before the planet runs into you, and then hope to God you don't smash on the surface when you crash down. yep, this is the game. It's really good. It's cheap, currently £10 on Steam. You can pay a bit more to get a VIP sort of thing where you can tell the developer what you want done. It may not get exactly done, but it could be brought into brought into the game if it's a good suggestion. I'm just making sure I'm not going to run into the planet. So yeah, that's my review of Rodina. A quick little insight to it itself. Really fun little game. I've only been playing about 4 or 5 hours, and again, like I said, I'm still just exploring one planet alone, let alone all the rest. So if you like little space exploration games, it's in development, and if you like to modify a ship a little bit, then this is a game for you. I do play Pulsar as well, Pulsar the Lost Colony, and also Elite Dangerous. So again, space games, exploration, planets, solar systems, but this one has the missing pieces, I think, for both Pulsar and Elite Dangerous, or the massive contrast in games quality, but they both miss that functionality of really customizing your ship and just playing with little things. I know you can add in sort of updates and such, but with Elite Dangerous it costs money. And again, with Pulsar, like this one, really you can't change the ship layouts, but you can improve its components, and just get little points as you go along. Story wise, I'm not sure of the story on this one just yet. However, I'm finding terraforming information on this planet at the minute, so it may have been that they wanted to find a new world and create another one. Currently you are again the lone survivor. Maybe if they brought in elements of space engineers, it might even be pretty good as well, but again, that's just going to add more and more. So yep, ladies and gents, thanks for watching. Buy the game, check it out, have a go at the demo as well. If you're not sure, a demo is available. Go on to Steam, Rodina, and just have a try out. Cool, well, thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you later.